Well, good morning, Cam.
Hello,
As it is morning where we are.
indeed.
hmm So, how's the weather?
Oppressive is the nice way of putting it.
It's been hot.
Yeah, it's been so. It's reminds me of that scene from Chronicles of Narnia. It's so warm, and the Frost Queen is angry about it being hot. Anyways, yeah, it's been unideal. Let's put it that way.
So, I have a little thermometer that I put out behind the building every once in a while to see how hot it is. Now, you have to understand that I work in a big concrete box. The north side of the building is the back side of our building. So, I'm sorry, the south side of the building. So the
Oh yeah.
sun comes in,
Mm-hmm.
the blacktop heats up, it reflects off the building because of course the building's painted a light color. 106 degrees the other day back there.
Yeah, and you're not in the South. You're in
No,
fact quite opposite of the South.
very much opposite of the south.
Yeah. Holy Moses.
Thankfully, I was working inside where it's kind of air conditioned. So our I say that because our how do I put this? Our corporate overlords decide how warm it is in the store.
Really?
Or how cool it is, as they would term it, but it's mostly warm. And I think the our air conditioning actually will kick on when it gets to be 80 degrees outside. So it doesn't take into consideration a whole lot of like what it actually feels like inside. And if it's not, they turn it off overnight. So then it kicks up in the morning if it's over 80 degrees.
Yeah.
If it hits 80 degrees at noon, it'll kick on, but it takes like 3-4 hours to cool the building down. So it might not be cool until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's like
Gosh.
this has got to be they've got to be saving money somewhere doing it this way, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
But yeah, and of course, along with hot, humid weather comes storm season. So I don't know if you've had any storms down by you.
Dude, yeah, we had some severe thunderstorm warnings
Yeah,
last
we
night.
we got rocked last night. It was about I think 9 o'clock last night. We had the tornado sirens went off, so we came downstairs and hung out down here. Turned the Brewer game on the TV down here, and we sat while the lights were flickering, and the it actually knocked the TV out at one point, so we had to turn the TV back on. But yeah, it was pretty wild, and I live kind of on the bottom of a hill in town here. So when it rains real heavy, the streets just turn into rivers, and it all filters
Uh,
down to us.
I was gonna say, I remember a picture you sent me once where it was
Yep.
just like a total pond at your driveway.
Yep. So I think it actually might have gotten over the curb that last night, and that we don't see that very often. So the drains just don't keep up with that much water when it's coming down. So, but it was interesting. They were talking ping pong ball sized hail and
Uh,
70 mile an hour wind gusts possible.
God, jeez.
So when I woke up this morning, there were branches kind of all over the place. I don't think we lost any trees in the neighborhood, but there were branches that were knocked down and stuff. So neighbor had a branch in his yard that was must have been knocked down out of the tree and then blown underneath his pergola. And when we looked at the tree branch, my wife thought, well, maybe it's from our tree. Understand, I live to the west of him, and the wind was blowing east. I'm sorry, I lived to the east of him. The wind was blowing west to east. So there's no way, would have had to defy physics to go back over to his place. But we were looking at it and we thought, well, maybe it was. But it actually the leaves were wrong, and so we're looking. It wasn't the tree in his yard; it was a tree in the yard on the other side that
Uh,
this branch came from. So it took that limb down and blew it quite a ways. My recycling, we had to retrieve my recycling bin because that one likes to get caught by the wind and get taken. So, but other than that, we survived. It only lasted for about 45 minutes here, but But right as it got past us, they started talking about a tornado signature in the storm. So I don't know that there was ever a touchdown, but they did have tornado warnings going in the area.
Touchdown!
Yeah, right. So, and tornadoes make me a little nervous to begin with, and then tornadoes at night are even worse because it's like there's just
Yeah, because
nothing.
you can't see them coming, right?
No. But anyway, we are a technology podcast, not a weather podcast, so we can probably move
we
on
like
from
to
that.
flirt with being a weather podcast.
Sometimes, yeah, we do. We do. Well, carrot weather is what I was looking at a lot last night. So there's your technology angle.
There you go.
All right. I wanted to pipe in just real quick to do follow up on macOS Sonoma. I installed the public beta, on my MacBook Air, and I like it. It's good. Played around with the widgets.
Yeah, how does that work? Tell me all the things, Mitch.
I'll tell you,
and the listeners, of course.
I'll tell you what. It's really easy to forget that the iPhone widgets that you have on your screen are iPhone widgets and not native to macOS or macOS Sonoma. So, but what is kind of weird is that you go to click on them, and if it does not have an app that, like, I have a Carrot Weather widget on my desktop, and if I click on that, I have the iPad version of Carrot Weather on my MacBook, so it'll open that. But right below it, I have Spark email. I have the iPhone widget for that. But if I click on that, it tells me I have to open it in my iPhone because the desktop version of Spark email is different than the iPhone and iPad version. So some little goofy things, but
little broken.
I wish the transparency on the apps was a little bit more uniform, which that may come in time. But so I have going from top to bottom, I have Fantastical at the top. I have Carrot Weather right underneath that, and then I've got the battery widget and Spark email just right below that. And the Fantastical widget is nicely like frosted glass. It looks really nice when you're not on the desktop. The Carrot Weather widget is like it's trying to implement its colored background, but it just gets grayed, so it's not transparent. It's just gray.
Yeah.
And then the two below that, so the battery widget and the Spark email widget, both have that frosted glass look, and it's just really nice, and works with the transparency and everything. Really nice. So it's just like that Carrot Weather widget right in the middle that kind of ruins the aesthetic. So
yeah, but as soon as this goes live, Carrot Weather will be,
yeah, I do hope
class.
that it's that they fix that and make that a little bit more uniform. But otherwise, I understand why they led with the screensaver. Now, no joke. I think that is one of the most interesting features that they added to macOS Sonoma, because you can have that screensaver running. So the aerial screensaver is running, and then you tap the space bar or do whatever you do to wake up the machine. So what it does for me is it checks my watch and logs me in with my watch. And then all of a sudden my desktop shows up, and that screensaver just kind of slows to a stop.
Yeah.
And it's not like a real abrupt stop or anything like that. It just slows to a stop. And then it that's going to be your desktop background until you put it back into, either you put it to sleep, because it does the screensaver on the lock screen. So it's moving on the lock screen. The only time it's stationary is when you're in your desktop. So, but no, I think it's a really neat feature. So, and it's the one feature that is unique to Sonoma that a lot of the other operating systems aren't getting. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I guess like we're kind of at that point now where there's so much parity amongst the different operating systems, right? In feature sets and in apps and all that sort of stuff. So
I will tell you that
interesting.
I was I'd have a call with my best friend of I did the math the other day, 28 years. Long time.
Yeah.
But I have a call with him at 8:30 Saturday mornings. And this morning we had to run down. My wife is, working with a chiropractor for some issues she's having. And so I thought, well, I'll call him when we get there because her appointment was at 8:30 this morning. So I used my iPhone to pull up Zoom and started the Zoom meeting right from my iPhone and just had it mounted on the dash. And him and I had sat and talked and stuff. And at one point, I put my hand up on my head and made this
Yeah, thumbs down look.
but it looks like I was doing a thumbs down, but I was kind of just like leaning there. And the iPhone picked it up as though I was giving him a thumbs down on something, and popped up the little reaction, the automatic reaction on the screen. And he stops and he's like, "Dude, what are you giving me a thumbs down for?" And because he was talking about he sang at a nursing home the other day and how great it was and how much fun he had, and all of a sudden this thumbs up comes onto the screen and he's like, "Dude, what did you just thumbs? I'm sorry, the thumbs down."
So funny.
And I was like, "Oh, it must have picked me up because I had my hand up and just the right thing." So then I gave him the thumbs up, and it popped up the little thumbs up reaction. And I was like, I got to step this up another notch. So I gave him the 2 thumbs up, and all of a sudden the fireworks started going off in the background. And he stopped and he looks at me and he's like, "Dude, did that just happen? Did you just do that with a gesture?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "That was pretty cool." So it was fun.
Normal people approved, Apple. Congratulations.
Absolutely. And he's an Android guy too, so.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yep.
So you
really showing off to him.
If
you just had an iPhone, you could do this too. But anyway, all right. So I thought we might talk about the WatchOS and maybe tvOS if we have time today. You good with that? So between the two of us, I have WatchOS installed, the beta.
You were like,
you do not, right?
All in this time, Mitch. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well, I have to have my journalistic integrity, so I gotta have all the betas so that we're
yeah. I do not have WatchOS or tvOS betas installed.
So as well, I pull up apple.com so we can look through the features and make sure we didn't forget anything. Let's go ahead and get her started. All right. So what do you remember from WatchOS?
I'll be honest. When I think about WatchOS, I still think about the Apple Watch Ultra and like the satellite, like Find My, like it tracks you through the wilderness, and like if you have a clean shot to a satellite, you can like send an SOS call. But that was all from
that was last year.
Yeah, I know, but I still remember it more than I remember anything from this year. Okay. If I'm being absolutely honest.
I have an internal war happening in me right now about whether or not I want to bump up to the Apple Watch Ultra this year or not. It's really pretty.
It's so expensive, Mitch. It's $800.
I spent almost $600 on the one that I have, though. So I mean, it's a couple $100 more expensive than the one that I have.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I'll have to look at it, see how the monthly breaks down, and if it makes sense. So one of the first things that they talk about on the preview page for WatchOS 10 is the redesign of the apps so that they all have kind of a full screen look. And I'll be honest with you, I like it. It really looks nice on the watch. I think where it really surprised me the most was in when my alarm went off one day. And I looked down, and you know what the alarm looks like now? That it just comes up with a black screen, and it says, "Oh, your alarm's going off." It now comes up with a full screen orange background It says done. I actually think it looks tasteful.
Okay.
But
I'll trust you.
but they have the on-screen controls now are different. They're, if you look at the picture on apple.com where they have the watchOS 10 preview, you can see that they have these round buttons now for different things, and it's just a really nice kind of massaging of the interface that looks a lot nicer than I think it did before. Because I think before they were trying to hide the bezels, where
Yeah.
now they're just leaning into it.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, so I think overall a lot of the subtle changes in the apps and stuff like that have been a really really nice touch. Your the honeycomb view is a little different now. I never use it, but I would always use a list view. Which one of the annoying things about the list view now is that whenever you go into the list view, it starts you at the beginning. So if you want to open the weather app, you have to
Which is all the way at the
scroll all the
bottom.
way down
Yeah.
to the bottom to get to the weather app, or to get
Yep.
to what else? What's the world clock is down at the bottom. Not that I have any reason to open the world clock, but
Your wallet app
yeah,
if you want to do Apple
wallet
Pay.
app. Well, the wallet app, I think you can just double tap on the side button to get to if you're going to use it. But yeah, I will say that they reassigned a lot of the buttons to do different things than they used to. So for the first time, I don't think this was available before. If you double tap on the crown or you double click on the crown, it takes you to your to an app switcher that's similar to the way that the iPhone works. So it just shows you all your most recent apps. A single press on the crown will also take you into your. I think it's into the it's into your app view. So what they did on the honeycomb view that's a little different, or what they call the grid view, is that it's no longer like this infinitely amorphous blob of apps. It's now more linear. So you can scroll down through all of the apps. It still looks similar. It's all these little circles, but instead of having to swipe back and forth and up and down in different ways, you can just scroll through them to find your app. So it's constrained to the sides of the device. So, and of course, if you rotate, if you're on the on your clock and you rotate the crown, you get the new widget view, which
Right.
is nice. I think I'm still trying to get used to the idea that I think where it comes in handy, let's say, is if you have a watch face that doesn't have complications or is very limited on its complications, it's actually a really nice way to just say, whoop, okay, let me check and see what the weather is, or how's the baseball game doing, or whatever. It's a nice little way to do that. But I still am finding myself preferring those complications on the watch face rather than scrolling into the widgets. Um, your mileage may vary, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. And maybe it's just I've got to get used to using it more often and allow it to become part of how I do it. One nice touch, though, is that if you scroll into the widget view, you get your day and date at the top and a small and kind of a half sized clock. If you use an analog watch face, it'll show you in an analog. If you use a digital watch face, it actually shows you the digital time. So it depends on which watch face you're coming from when you scroll the crown. So I think that's a nice touch that they didn't mention, but it is kind of nice. It does something a little similar to what the Siri watch face does as well. So if you have a timer running, it will show you the timer first, and then you can scroll down into your other widgets. If you've got music playing, it shows you the just playing widget, and then you scroll down to your other widgets from there. It works pretty nice for that kind of stuff. So yeah. Is there any widgets that you're kind of excited about seeing there?
I mean, carrot weather, I think probably.
Yeah.
Because this is a weather podcast. But I don't know. I find my watch, like I use it less and less like a smartwatch nowadays.
Yeah.
Like I like only get phone call and text message notifications really on my watch.
Hmm.
And so I'm really starting to contemplate, like, am I just going to ride this one till it dies or it gets, stops being supported? Or, am I going to re-up for another? Cause like, I don't use it in a lot of the smart ways anymore.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, I don't know. Obviously I will update to the new OS when it comes around. But like, I'm more and more like a grumpy old man that just doesn't want to be bugged with notifications,
Right.
and widgets and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that stance will change. But I like that I have the option for it to be a smartwatch. Like, oh, I can check my calendar, or I can check the weather, or it tracks my heart rate. It tracks my sleeping. Like, I like that stuff. But like, I like that it's a choice that I get to make. Do I want to engage with those features, or do I want them thrust at me? And on my watch, I want it. I like the fact that I have the choice to go look if I want, but not that it's coming at me. And the widgets will be, I think, an interesting choice to make going forward with how I use them. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at, and I realize that wasn't like an answer to your question totally, but that's that's where I'm at. Widgets fun, yes. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I think for how I wind up using the new stuff,
And
if
this
at all.
this could change a lot when the third party widgets start becoming more available.
Yeah.
Because I think the only third party widget I have right now is the MLB app has a widget. Widget. Everything else is the built-in apps have them. So I've got for the Apple weather I have a widget, couple widgets actually from that. And actually no, I think what's the app that does I can't see the name of the app, but there's an app that I have on my watch here that does air quality. I'm looking it up right now here. Hold on. Apaku?
That sounds like a Pokemon.
Uh Paku. And actually it works really nice. It works on the purple air quality network, which apparently is a really big deal.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I have no idea.
air quality has been a big deal this year, so
Yeah.
I've wanted to have that available because as a man who suffers with allergies, it's a thing. So, but but yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see once we have like a Carrot Weather app and some of the other ones that we'd be more interested in seeing
Hmm.
how that's going to change. That widgets are not that big, so there's not a lot of real estate for a lot of information there either. So it's probably going to act a little bit more like the dock acted before,
Hmm.
where you're going to put widgets from your favorite apps there, and then it gives you a quick launch option for those apps. I can kind of see it working a little bit more like that. Two new watch faces. I want to
Oh
talk
boy.
about this.
Okay.
The palette watch face. I think is a really pretty watch face. Does not have an option for numbers on it, which is kind of a thing for me. I I don't know how people tell time with an analog watch that doesn't have any kind of tick marks or numbers or anything like that, but they went that way and fine. But I think it's a really pretty watch face.
Oh man, I don't know if I could use that one.
So the one that they used as an example on the website and in the keynote, I'm not sure that I really like that one. But there's
Yeah.
one that has a lot of like slate blue, and then like a little lighter blue with an orange accent. That looks really sweet. I really like that one. But but yeah, the one that I think is a kind of I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, but the Snoopy and Woodstock watch face is actually really delightful. So I think you got to try it for a little while to kind of understand it, but it's really delightful how each time you raise your wrist to look at the time, it it just it greets you with something a little funny that's going on between Snoopy and Woodstock, or Snoopy and Woodstock and his other bird friends, or it's just assuming that they're basing some of the little comedic things on past strips, past comic strips, because I could swear I've seen some of these gags before. But they're it's just cute little things, and they play off of where the minute hand is
Mm-hmm.
on the dial. So if the minute hand is like at 15 minutes after, there's one where, you know, like it becomes a little bird bath, and they're, you know, the birds are playing in the bird bath.
Oh boy.
There's another one where if the hands are in a particular position, like Snoopy will be laying on his back blowing a bubble, and then the bubble bursts and part of the gum goes up onto the hands. And it's just there's just neat little animations that come along with that. So but but yeah. So it's one that I, you know, if you have an Apple Watch and you're going to be installing this, check out the Snoopy face. Have it as an option at least. Maybe, you know, do it on the weekend, just when you're looking for something a little bit more playful and more delightful. And I think it delivers. So I will tell you, and this reminded me just now. 2 weeks ago, after I don't know if I mentioned it on the show that I was taking my mom and dad to the Apple store to buy my dad an Apple Watch. But it's the first time I seen one of these braided loops. My dad has Parkinson's, and he needs something to remind him to take his medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were looking at different options, and after we talked about it, we thought, well, you know, the Apple Watch isn't a terrible idea, and it has a lot more features than he probably needs, but it also has some features that my mom likes, you know, with the device tracking, and with the fact that he can view his texts and get phone calls on it if he wants to, even though he probably won't do that himself.
Yeah.
But he does look at his text messages on his watch. We did get him a cellular watch.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. So that was my recommendation. My mom liked the idea. So that way he's always in a place where he can communicate if he needs to. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't always keep his phone on him. So he's got a hand-me-down iPhone that my mom gave him. And it never leaves the house really. So to have the watch on there where he's, you know, always can be contacted if he needs to be contacted, it's a good thing for him. And then all the health data that it's collecting too should be useful for his doctor. So, but
Oh yeah, I hadn't even thought about that part of it. Yeah.
yeah, but I brought all that up to say that this is the first time I've ever seen the braided solo loop. Man, that braided solo loop is nice. You know, if I had to characterize it as something, it is the sweatpants of Apple Watch bands, because it's the only one that really worked for him, because he had a hard time like trying to buckle any of the straps and stuff like that, because his hands just
Yeah.
don't work the way they used to. And so for him to have we tried the solo loop, but the solo loop was a little too tight. And so he tried the braided solo loop, and he put that on, and he's like, this is the one. This works great. Comes on and off real easy. It's nice and secure. And they size them right in the store for you. So it was really nice, because he tried a few different sizes. And
yeah, that was my question, was like, yeah, okay, that's good to know.
yeah. So we worked with a guy, and the guy walked him through a few different sizes to make sure that he got the right size he needed and got the color that he wanted and all that stuff, which was funny, because my mom's like, well, don't you want the black one over here? That black one looks really nice. And my dad's like, no, I like the silver one. So he took the silver one. My dad surprises him every once in a while. That's great. But then he got that with the olive colored braided solo loop. So it looks really nice. But anyway, so that was our excursion here a couple weeks ago. So I thought I mentioned it on the show, but maybe I didn't.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, good for your dad to have something that he likes, but also that is going to help him, especially with his medical condition, right? Like that's
well, just being able
cool.
to have all that health data, especially the stability health data that it collects. That's something that you can really track the progression of Parkinson's by his how he walks. And so the fact that he has that always measuring all of that stuff, and they can show that to his doctor, that they can see how it's progressing a little bit more finely. So it's good.
Yeah.
I'm skipping through a few of these things. They have cycling and hiking and a few different things on here for health. Um, they had some additional features. It's not anything that I've tried, so I don't want to get into that too much. So I don't think there's really much to say. They do have um, the new features for mental health, where you can go in and you can reflect on your day, or it could. I set up the notifications for this, but after the first couple days, I just started ignoring it. So, but in the mindfulness app, they now have three different options. I'm pulling it up so that I can look at it here. But the state of mind option is the new one. And what that does is it allows you to track your mood by how pleasant you feel, which I think is an interesting idea, because when you go into that, it just says I feel pleasant, very pleasant, or not so pleasant, or something like that. It all has the word pleasant in it. But it lets you track that, and then after you tell it, how you're feeling, it says, okay, well, specifically, like, do you feel angry? Do you feel upset? Do you feel discouraged? Or, it gives you a lot of different words, and you can tap all the words that fall into like how you're feeling right now, and then it says, what's making you feel this way right now? So it's like a um, three step thing. And it was funny because one day I was at work, and the lady that I work with, we were standing there, and it's like and she has an iPhone, but she doesn't have an Apple Watch. But I was showing her that feature, and I put in that I was feeling not so pleasant, and then I tapped a few things as to why I wasn't feeling so pleasant, and then it said, well, what's contributing to that? And I scrolled down, and I just hit work. So, and she starts laughing. So, but yeah, so it's a nice feature. I'm still not sure what the utility of it is. If it's something that, if you're really having mental health issues and you're tracking everything, so that you can take it back to somebody else to look at, I can kind of understand that. And maybe this will play into the journal app down the road too.
Yeah.
I would assume it should. But right now it's just kind of like just going into a silo into the health app, and it's like, okay. But it does show that you can look at some of this data and stuff too. So, I haven't really seen anything as far as the vision health is concerned, but they do mention that on on that page. Scrolling down, actually, that's kind of it. There's a little blurb about Apple Fitness Plus, but
Yeah. Then we're into the footer.
but I
All the
think
links.
but I think all of the excuse me just a second. I think all of the features that you're going to notice the most about WatchOS 10 is really just the visual redesign of everything. Everything looks a little nicer, looks a little modern, or more modern, that is. It just they're nice touches done through the operating system that I think are nice little upgrades. Something that I like a lot is that I use the sleep timer. So when it wakes me up in the morning, once I stop the alarm, it'll go to a screen where it shows you like what's your charge at, what's the temperature outside, and just gives you a little bit of information. They redesigned that screen to have a colored background, and it just makes it look nicer. I think overall, it's not like it's giving you any new information or anything like that, but it's like a little cleaner, a little nicer looking, and I think that those are nice little quality of life upgrades. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so not a heck of a lot more to say about that. You haven't had any opportunity to try any of the new AirPods stuff at all.
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at the path to upgrade my stuff, my AirPods Pro 2 to the new to get the adaptive audio and stuff like that. And after I looked at it, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like you got to switch your phone into like a developer mode and do all this stuff and then download this. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do all that. So we'll wait until this fall to look at that. Oh my. So yeah, watch OS 10. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I mean, like I said, I'll be interested to see like the new experience with the the way the apps look and the widgets and all that sort of stuff. But I'm probably not, as I said, the prime end user because I'm trying to make my smartwatch less smart, I guess. So call me complicated, I guess, when it comes to that, because I could just not wear a watch or wear a normal one, but
Mm-hmm.
it does come in handy from time to time to have Siri on the watch to be able to do Apple Pay. That's the sort of stuff that I really appreciate about it.
Mm-hmm.
But so, anyways, yeah, I will obviously upgrade my OS, but I don't know. I'll take it as it comes, I suppose. Not a terribly helpful or uh, hot take, but that's where I'm at with watches.
Yeah. So again, I think it's a nice little quality of life upgrade, but yeah, and it's getting a lot of the features that everything else is getting. I haven't noticed many bugs in the betas yet. So overall, I think that it stands to reason to say that that when we're talking about upgrading to the betas, they're going to be a little buggy. But I will say overall, I haven't really had a whole lot of issues. There's a weird keyboard issue on the
Yes,
iPhone.
yes, that was what I was going to bring up
Hmm.
exactly.
I found two ways to overcome that. One is to swipe down to dismiss the keyboard and then tap into the data entry bar again, and then it pulls it up. The other one is to hit enter on the keyboard, which is a little bit easier. You just hit enter and then delete to go back, but it that pops it back up too. But overall, the betas have been really solid. I think the public betas are solid. So if you're sitting on the fence and you're thinking, well, should I or shouldn't I? Um, Check and make sure you don't have any mission critical apps that are you're not going to be able to use. So if you use any Rogue Amoeba stuff and you're looking at updating to Sonoma, um, I would say hold off. Sound Source is not working on my MacBook Air right now after I updated to Sonoma. It's not a huge deal for me because that device is not one that I typically play a lot of audio on. So it's just nice to have on there. But if you're using Audio Hijack or Loopback or anything that comes out of the Rogue Amoeba camp, stay away from macOS Sonoma. Otherwise, I've used Adobe Audition, I've used Isotope plugins, stuff like that, all in Sonoma, and everything seems to be working just fine. So yeah. All right. I was going to say we could talk about tvOS, but what is there to talk about on tvOS? Because they don't even have a page for it.
Yes, that is exactly what I was about to say. There's not even a page for it,
All right.
which is just like frustrating.
Yeah. Well, guess what? There's a update coming for tvOS.
Oh, is there?
That's all I can remember.
I don't know. There's it. I have said multiple times what I wish tvOS would be
Mm-hmm.
on the show. And as time goes on, my hope that anything remotely resembling my desires for it dwindles. It's like,
I'm
you
still
know,
really hoping that they're going to do a big update to the hardware here one of these years, and that's when we're going to see some updates to the system. But There is one thing on tvOS that I think is going to be interesting to try, and that's going to be video conferencing with the iPhone as the camera. You basically using continuity camera.
Uh-huh.
So, and whether or not that's going to be restricted to certain models, if you're going to have a 4K Apple TV. I don't have a 4K Apple TV. I have the one before that, the HD version. So, if that's going to be a restriction, then I won't be able to test that. But yeah, I think that'll be interesting. Just, if you do a lot of Zoom calls or do a lot of just chatting with family over FaceTime, stuff like that, I think that could be a really cool thing to be able to do with that. So, but as you can tell from my demeanor, it's like, nah, we'll see. you know.
Yeah, unfortunately, right? That's kind of where we're at. It's like, yeah, well, just wait and hope that something better comes.
Right.
I mean, I don't get the sense that they've forgotten about it because they're adding, like you said, the continuity camera, like they're adding certain features to it. But like the fact that there isn't a tvOS page anywhere on Apple's website kind of sets the tone for, I think, what we should expect, which is they don't see this as a major platform. They don't see it as, a big player. It's just kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little disappointing because I personally think there's a ton of potential here for, better experience, better interface, and that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I'm personally a little bummed, but also not surprised.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's all got wrapped into TV and home now. And even in the keynote for WWDC, it was all wrapped into one umbrella of TV and home.
Yeah.
And so, it's obvious that they're kind of approaching this as, here's your TV and home stuff, and basically it's all the other stuff. That's not computers. So, I think it'll be interesting once we get a chance to get the adaptive audio for the AirPods Pro 2. I think that'll be interesting. And then I'll talk about that a little bit once we get there, but and let you know what I think. But we're not there yet. So, all right. Well, is it fair that it's time to move on?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, let's find out what's delighting us today. All right.
I think you should go first.
I can't remember. I was like, well, what's delighting me today? Oh, this last week has been so stressful. Oh, I could pick this. Foundation is back.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
No.
Oh boy. Mitch has opinions. I can see them forming in his face.
The first 2 episodes are interesting. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to go beyond that. I don't want to ruin it for you, but I can't say that I'm 100% sold on Foundation. But at some point I hope that things pick up and things start to be a little bit more fun and get better. But they're laying the groundwork for where they're at right now.
Yeah.
So, and I think you begin to understand why they went with this whole genetic legacy thing, because they had a big time jump from the last season to this season. So they talk about it. So there's not much that you won't pick up from the episodes. So I think there's 2 episodes out now, probably 3 now. Since we're sitting here on a Saturday morning, I think they release them on Friday. But I have been enjoying Brewers baseball a lot lately. So yeah, I guess it's just life is delighting me right now. Just some general things.
Good.
How about you?
I'm going to be a nerd for a second and say that my Rubik's cubes are delighting me lately.
Very nice.
I have a 3x3, a 4x4, and a 5x5, and they are my fidget toys while I'm in meetings that I don't want to be in at work. So they help pass those very boring times. And I don't know, they're just fun. I like them.
I still keep this in my bag.
Nice.
Got the Go Cube. Of course, I had to get one that I could connect to my phone. So
No, yeah, mine are all. I've had my 3x3 for. I got it in college, and I graduated college in '08. So 16 or 17 years I've had this thing. It's and it has a nice noise to it.
I
like it.
can't hear it at all.
Really?
Yeah, I don't hear it on this end.
Anyways. Yeah, so that's it. Just dumb little toys that help me get through meetings that are silly that I shouldn't be in at work. So they serve a good purpose.
I just screwed it up, so all right, whatever. I was trying to make my clacking noises with it and just totally messed it up. But the funny thing is because this does connect to my phone, I just pull up the app on my phone and it will help me get it back to the solved state. So just like click here, move this one, move that one. And before you know it, like 20 moves down, I'll be back in the solved state. So if I just want it solved and I don't want to have to do all the work to do it, the app will do it for me. So
nice.
Yeah, it's a cheat, but it's I'm a cheater, so good with that.
Yeah. Teach their own. Right. Kind of. So my daughter, she one of her favorite things is to come in and mess them up.
Right on.
And then be like, oh my gosh, you solved it. Like she thinks that like each one is like a unique problem, which is adorable because she doesn't understand like it's a closed system. You can't mess it up to the point where it's unsolvable.
Right.
Like there's always a solution. And which is one of the reasons I like it is like you can always get it back to the solved state. But she loves coming in and messing it up and goes, "Oh, Daddy, you're not going to get this one. I messed it up real good." Like so it adds a little something to the fact that it's just a silly little toy, but like it's something that has become like a little game for us, which is I just enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's what's delighting me. Just a silly little Rubik's Cube.
All right. Well, that's been a thrilling episode of the show today.
Indeed. We nailed it. Knocked it out of the park.
Did you hear any of the stuff that's going on with Twitter this last week?
There's like an X now? What,
So I thought about talking about this on the show, but I knew we needed to get through WatchOS. And I'd be honest with you, I've only heard a few podcasts talk about it, so I haven't really looked at the article. So yeah, so Elon Musk is rebranding Twitter to X.
Like the letter?
The letter X. He even had from what I'm understanding, he even had a contest to design the logo on Twitter. So he crowdsourced the logo for it. They wanted the @X Twitter handle. So they basically took it away from the guy that had it and gave him a t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
So here's my take on all of this. Elon bought Twitter because he had to. And now I think he's actively trying to drive this company into the ground.
Why?
I don't know. He hasn't made a single decision since he bought Twitter that has improved it. It's only made it worse. And now as part of this rebranding, they want to add banking to it. They want to add like
he wants to put PayPal. Yeah. So it's coming full circle.
Oh no, he's got all kinds of stuff that he wants to add to this.
Meanwhile, Instagram just cloned it and made it better again.
Yeah.
Like they did with Snapchat.
Mm-hmm. So here's an article from CNBC, I think. I'm pulling it up here to see. About the rebranding. It says Elon Musk recently explained why he decided to rebrand Twitter to X and noted that it's more than just a name change. Instead, it represents his plans to create an everything app. quote, Twitter was acquired by X Corp both to ensure freedom of speech and as an accelerant for X, the everything app. This is not simply a company renaming itself, but doing the same thing. I think that's transcribed incorrectly. The Twitter name made sense when it was just 140 character messages going back and forth like birds tweeting, but now you can post almost anything, including several hours of video. In the months to come, we will add comprehensive communications and the ability to conduct your entire financial world. The Twitter name does not make sense in that context, so we must bid adieu to the bird. So here's my question. If Elon starts a bank, are you going to put your money in it?
No.
Heck no. Like, this guy's unhinged. I don't trust him to take care of my money.
Yeah, that's
sadly, his explanation kind of makes a little bit of sense, for his vision for it, but it's still like Twitter was Twitter. Like, why did it have to be more than that? Why did it have to have stuff added to it?
because he's a billionaire.
Yeah. I mean, this is not
there's always more that needs to be done. Like
this is not something that has to become part of my financial world. This is just where, like, I used to go to spout off nonsense about whatever, I haven't been on Twitter since Elon bought it, but
yeah,
my last post was something along the lines of "Screw you, Elon, I'm done." And I tagged him in it too, which I'm sure he doesn't care. But between Mastodon and Threads, who needs Twitter anymore?
I guess we'll just. It's kind of like watching the planes slowly descend, right?
Yep.
Not for a landing.
Was it Nero that sat on the hill and watched Rome burn?
Oh, probably. I don't know, but that sounds like something he would do.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. Just sitting watching the company burn. But anyway. All right, well, I suppose we can wrap up the show for this week.
Righty.
All right. So if you want to check us out online, the show is located at innerdialogue.show, and there is a feedback form there. So if you want to leave us some feedback about something that we talked about today, we'd love to hear it. If you would like to know more about me, I'm at mitchcraig.online. And Cam, where can people find you?
CamBrennan.com.
That is correct. So
yes.
You got it right, buddy. But you can check us out there. And do you use any social media anymore?
I'm on Instagram at Brennan Media, but that's really it.
Yeah, and I had Threads downloaded on my phone. I had Instagram downloaded on my phone, and I got rid of both of them just because I'm like, I'm not going to use these. That, and I find the whole advertising aspect of Instagram to be a problem for me. So, so I tend to just stay away from it. But if you're looking for me there, I'm Radio Mitch, and I have Mitch Craig at mastodon.social, but it's Mastodon without the vowels. So it's a different server than the main mastodon.social server. Yeah. So if you're interested in finding me there, actually the easiest way to find me on Mastodon is go to mitchcraig.online and click the Mitch on Mastodon link at the top. So, and you'll find me there.
There you go.
And I had to laugh. Did you listen to the Connected from this last week?
No, I'm behind.
Okay. So there was a whole conversation about Brown. Apparently Steven bought the Brown Beats Studio Pros or whatever they're called. And so he had a whole conversation about how much he loves the color brown. And while I'm sitting in the car listening to it, I look over at CarPlay, and the new CarPlay in iOS 17 takes the colors that are in it's done this before, but it takes the colors that are in the cover art and kind of blends them all together and puts them on the screen.
Oh,
And
gosh.
what happens when you blend all the colors of the rainbow?
Yeah, you get brown.
You get brown. So I took a screenshot and I sent it to all three guys and says, yeah, apparently it's brown. The background in CarPlay is brown when I listen to your podcast.
That's too funny.
So yeah, I never heard anything back, but it was funny.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Alrighty, let's wrap her up. We'll see you back here in a couple weeks, sir. You have
Indeed.
a good rest of your day, and we'll see you then.
All right. Ta-ta.
Later.